So there was this question from one of us here. The lady asked that she was confused about London, or she was confused between these three big cities in the UK, in England to be precise, London, Birmingham and Manchester, that she would like to know the differences between these three cities. As a matter of fact, she just can't wrap her head about what's unique with them, individually. And that is why today we're starting from London. Being that I live, work and study here in London, then in subsequent videos we'll talk about Birmingham and Manchester. I almost said Manchester United. Right, so leading us to talking about the pros and cons of living, working and studying here in London. It's popular opinion and fact that London is the most expensive city to live in the UK, but you know what balances this out? London is actually one of, if not the highest paying city in the whole of UK. So the expensive cost matches with your income, right? So starting with the pros, that's the good aspect of living in London. I like to talk about the good first before we talk about the bad. Okay, or the not so good on a scale of priority is job opportunity. So the job opportunity here is massive, starting from top renowned local and international companies down to local businesses owned by both foreigners and indigents. You cannot stay in London without a job. Provided you are able and fit, you are going to get a job in London, even down to people who are yet to regularize their stay in the country. London is a place for everybody. There are certain countries, there are certain cities one can stay. If you do not have all what you need, if you understand what I mean, to stay, to have your feet grounded in a country, you'll get frustrated and you just leave. But here in London, there is something for everybody. Just capping it at that. On to the next, good network of transportation. Speaking of transportation here in London, which is powered by the Transport for London, they are one of the biggest city network transportation all over the world. Speaking of the underground trains, the overground trains, the trams, the river buses, the popular London buses, the Docklands Light Railway, the one popularly known as the DLR. The public transportation system here in London is massive, very efficient, very good. Do you know you can stay here in London without even bothering to own your own vehicle? If you really do not want or need it, you can go from point A to B to C to D, wherever it is you want to go to. Within like this, with the public transportation, from the bus, you're using the train, you're using the overground, you're using the underground, you're connecting, and I'm telling you, with the interval as short as 3 minutes, the next train is coming. And when I first came to this country and I saw how fast the transportation system was, I was blown away. Imagine getting to miss one train and the next one is coming in 2 minutes. You can imagine you don't have to stress yourself much. All you just need to do is just wait right there at the designated bus stop. If you're using the bus, you see the timing of when the bus is coming and your bus is there, picks you up, you get to where you need to get to. With the underground trains or the overground train, whichever it is you decide to use, very on time. And if for whatever reason there's going to be a delay, there are announcements right there at the stations. Even with the bus app, you can tell from your house. You don't even need to come out and stand at the bus stop. From your house there, you're going to know when the next bus or train is coming. It could tell you the next bus is coming in 5 minutes. You know when to walk down to the bus stop to meet the next bus. It's as efficient as that. Then speaking of the river bus, this one is exciting, not so common. It's just, in a particular area, especially around it's usually used to commute to the O2 arena there at North Greenwich. When celebrities get to shut down the O2, means of transportation can be crazy and jam-packed. So that is where the river buses come to play. They just help to, relieve the stress on transportation, just to make movement, smooth sailing. Another wonderful thing about staying in London is in London you find world best hospitals. I'm talking of Guy's and St. Thomas's Hospital. That was where I had my second son. Via C-section, I confidently, relaxed and gave them my body to call open. Okay. We thank the Lord. It's all on God. But then when we have good medical personnel, you can be rest assured. There is the Almighty Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. There is the Royal London Hospital. And then the world famous Moorfields Eye Hospital, which is the oldest and largest center for ophthalmic treatment, teaching and research in the whole of Europe. How massive is that? Huh? Only in London. Again, London is a massive business hub, given the multicultural nature, the festivities, the social scenes, the sports, the upbeat lifestyle. Here in London, it is no brainer that every company that is any company wants to have a branch, wants to have something going on here in London. Reason why there is massive job opportunity. Almost every business thrives here in London because there's regular influx of tourists. There is regular influx of people. So no matter what you're selling, be you African, Asian, Pakistan, all of these people I'm telling you have shops, local, small, big business all over. Whatever it is, Lagos is just like London. Or London is just like Lagos. Whatever it is you put here, just like in Lagos, whatever it is you whatever it is you shade, say you're selling, you go market. So that is how London is. So even you as an individual can decide tomorrow to set up your shop. Just go through the government website for what it takes, which is a very straightforward process to go through. Just find out what it takes to get your business registered, and there you go. You could just set up your small business here in London and people will buy. Customers, no big problem. Now, if you're not born 10-15 years ago, you know that London is a massive fashion hub. Like, the London Fashion Week alone is a world standard event. So it will not come to you as a surprise that all of the designer shops you can think about, all of the designer brands you can think about that you know and you don't know is here in London. Going from Oxford Street, there are over 500 designer brands in Oxford Street alone. And this particular street is the busiest street for shopping in the whole of Europe. There is Bond Street. There in Bond Street, you can find brands like Burberry, Dolce & Gabbana, Jimmy Choo, Cartier, Chanel, Knightsbridge. I remember one time I walked around Knightsbridge at some point. There in Knightsbridge, when you're passing by, you be like, God, life is good. Life is good. This life can be good, sha. There in Knightsbridge, there is the Harrods, there is the Harvey Nicholas, where these top runway models come to do their shopping, photo shoots and stuff. Harrods in particular, any kind of perfume, just name it. Harrods alone has 330 departments for every luxury item you can imagine, from designer clothing to wine. Look, everything designer luxury you can think about is right there in Harrods. It's massive. And of course, there are the local groceries, the Asda's, the Tesco's, with their big branches, their headquarters and all here in London. And do you also know the very popular Notting Hill Carnival? I think that's what it's called. It's here in London. That carnival hosts millions of people trooping in from different parts of the world just to attend this this event. And it happens sometime in August. It's a shutdown. Like, during that Notting Hill Carnival, no space. You cannot even see what to pass. You cannot even see. If you don't take time, you might even get missing yourself. Like, it's huge, and you can imagine the amount of sales that will be going on during this period. Or do you want me to mention during the New Year's Eve, when they welcome New Year all over the world? There is the one in Dubai, there is the one in New York. You need to see our one in the UK, the London Eye one. It feels like paradise. It feels like something you've not seen before. Look, if you leave me, I can go on and on. And let me quickly add this for the finals, for the pros of living in London. We have internet providers which are very, very affordable. There is the TalkTalk, there is the EE, there is the BT Mobile, there is the Tesco Mobile. All of these giant internet and phone service providers. There is the O2 as well. Personally, I use the O2 for my phone, and I use the TalkTalk in my house. With the TalkTalk, I get to pay just about £21 thereabout, and I have Wi-Fi for the entire month for every of my gadgets, for everything, TV, everything that uses internet in my house. And I forgot to add, for transportation is as cheap as £1.55 for a single trip or trips within an hour, and then £4.50 a day. Then for a month, it's about £81. It's been a while I used the buses. A week is £21 thereabout, and a month is £81.50 thereabout. Yeah. And then the cons of it, because there is nothing with advantage that doesn't have disadvantage. The disadvantage of staying in London is the noise pollution, right? So given the massive influx of people on a regular in this city, you cannot take it away that it could really be very crowded, especially at the city centers. If you do not like crowd, if you're claustrophobic, if you're crowd phobic, if you don't like to see massive crowd, you might want to avoid going to the city centers or going to these touristy areas at certain time of the year. In fact, every time of the year in London is crowded. People are coming in 247. So, but then it is what it is. That's one of the cons of it. It's always crowded with tourists, people with cameras, lights and action everywhere. You could catch celebrities. I think that's a pro, but Okay, let's just talk about it here. You could just catch celebrities here and there and take a picture. You could just see Beckham and his wife driving past the road. It could be very noisy and jam-packed. So next con is the cost of rent here in London. The cost of rent here is crazily expensive, plus the fact that it's not like those accommodations are that great, but you're paying high for some very flimsy accommodations. So the very nice apartments come at extremely high rent. That is why people get to source out for most affordable places to live in London. That video is already here. Look through, you'll find it. And then there is the congestion charge and the ULEZ compliance zone. So what's ULEZ? Ultra low emission zone. So there are some places you're going to drive through. If your vehicle is not ULEZ compliant, that if it's not low emission compliant, you get charged a fee for driving through certain areas that are ULEZ, restricted. And then the congestion charge, this is primarily for those who are driving. If you get to drive past congestion zones from between 7 a.m. to 6 p.m, you get charged £11.50. So as far as you're driving past there, every day you drive past there, you're going to know that you're going to have to pay £11.50 for driving past the congestion charge area. And those areas are usually in more very central London. In less central London, you can drive your car. Like here in East London where I live, for the most of the places I need to drive to within my area, I don't get to pay congestion charge. But if I'm going to have to drive this car down to more central London, speaking of the Westminster, the high and mighty, I'll just have my £11.50 between the time of 7 and 6 p.m. I just need to have my £11.50 to pay for the day. And just to add, there are highly expensive places in London to live. Don't even go close to these places like the Westminster, places like Kensington and Chelsea, the areas where the celebrities have their houses. If you want to hear the amount of rent there or getting the property there, your ears could just go bananas. So are there more things you know about London? Leave them in the comment section and look out for more city comparisons coming on in subsequent videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.